Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Mindy here. Happy Friday to you. I hope you had a really fantastic week and you are gearing up for a very fun weekend. You might be able to notice I've shifted around my aesthetic down here. Basically, the guitars are on that wall. I'm at our bar, but I'm not drinking. And we have a ton of toys on the floor over there. All of the toy boxes that we have in our home are overflowing. We need more toy boxes, and I thought the lighting might be better here. I don't know, let me know what you guys think. I feel like I look a little bit yellow when I'm over there, so we'll see how this plays out. Today I wanted to talk about a new release by Mugler, and that is the new Angel Iced Star from the line. I have Angel Au Croisiere 2020, and I wanted to share my thoughts on how these fragrances are different, what I like about them, and if this is one that I consider to be full bottle worthy. So if you're interested in that, please stay tuned. All right guys, what really intrigued me about the new Angel Iced Star was simply the notes profile breakdown. In the base you have praline, vanilla, patchouli, and coconut, and all of those notes I like and enjoy, and I was definitely intrigued by. I wasn't sure about how the pineapple note would come into play, but I'll talk about that in a little while. Another thing that intrigued me about this fragrance specifically was because I do feel that I have a little bit of a gap in my collection in those sort of patchouli type fragrances. Fruity patchoulis are something that I don't have a lot of, and I definitely want to build out my collection to be a little bit more comprehensive in those areas where I do have gaps. Now I'll go ahead and spray it on my skin and share what I'm picking up. Now the first blast is fruity, you get pineapple, you get a little bit of coconut, and I'll be clear here that this is coconut water according to some of the resources that I looked at, not specific coconut itself. And I think that's important to know because if you're expecting a ton of coconut from this fragrance, you're not gonna get it. At least I don't pick that up. It's there, but it's not very prominent to my nose. Upon application of this fragrance, what really takes center stage for me is the pineapple note. It's very noticeable, and as it wears on the skin a little bit more, I pick up a lot of the praline. Again, the coconut sort of sits there in the background, and it's not extremely obvious to my nose that it's there, and that's probably because it's coconut water in this fragrance instead of coconut. So my suspicion is that the coconut scent profile is fairly subtle in this particular fragrance. Now, I'm not sure that this particular fragrance profile would appeal to everyone. I think that it has a time and place in my collection. These aren't fragrances that I necessarily wear on a regular basis. However, I do find from time to time I crave a fragrance like this. This one I find to be fruity, which I like. It's playful, it's easy. It's the kind of fragrance that I would wear if I wanted that tropical feel. This doesn't smell like your typical beachy fragrance in that it doesn't have a suntan oil vibe or a suntan lotion vibe to it, but it does have a tropical feel to it. So if you are going to a beach, whether it's in the ocean or where I live, more like the lake, or you're going out to just spend a day at brunch, or you're gonna do something fun with your friends, I think this would be a really fun fragrance to reach for. I'm not sure that this is a fragrance profile that everyone would want to wear on a daily basis. I don't necessarily see this being a signature scent for somebody, though you can do whatever you want. I feel this is the type of fragrance I would want to reach for if I was going to the beach, or if I was going to the lake for the day, if I had a playful event planned, or if I was gonna have brunch with my girlfriends. This would be a really fun fragrance to pick up. It's fun, it's flirty, it's fruity, and I think it fills a need to have a fun fragrance in your collection. I don't find this to be overly sophisticated, but I also don't find it to be juvenile. I feel like this fragrance fits a variety of age ranges. I think somebody in their 20s would have a lot of fun wearing this fragrance, but I also feel that way about somebody in their 50s. I personally probably wouldn't choose this fragrance for a business setting. I think you could, or if you had a fun business event planned for the day, it may be more appropriate. But generally speaking, for me, from an office setting perspective, I probably wouldn't reach for this one. I've had this fragrance now for a few days, so I've been playing with it, and what what I noticed is that when you get to that mid-level dry down, after it's been on your skin for maybe a half an hour to an hour to 2 hours, I do feel like that fruity aspect, the pineapple and a little bit of that coconut water does dissipate quite a bit, and it turns into more of a warm type fragrance, maybe a little bit more of that praline and patchouli coming out, a little bit more earthiness, though not overwhelming. It surprised me to see that happen and to see that transition because I expected a strong, fruity accord the entire wear of the fragrance. The fruitiness does stick around and you can subtly pick it up. I'm almost wondering if there's a point with this fragrance that my nose starts to experience a little bit of olfactory fatigue, where I'm losing that fruitiness of the fragrance because it's so powerful at first. I don't know for sure, but what my nose picks up after an hour to 2 hours of wear is definitely more of that praline, warmth, vanilla, and a whole lot less of that fruity aspect that I do like in this fragrance. One thing I picked up, and I'm not overly surprised by, but this wears a little bit differently on the skin than it does on paper. When I smell it on paper, I sprayed this yesterday, I'm still getting quite a bit of that pineapple and fruitiness that I got when I initially sprayed the fragrance. And the same goes for the box. It's my custom when I get a new fragrance to spray the fragrance in the box and go back and sniff and reference it. And yeah, the fruitiness is still very apparent in the box, but again, when I wear this on my skin for a little while, that dissipates quite a bit and it warms on my skin, and those fruity aspects of the fragrance go into the background, the vanilla and the praline pull forward. One thing worth mentioning here is that the Angel Ice Star does stand on its own, whereas my Angel Eau Croisiere 2020 version does have to lay down, and I'm not a huge fan of that when I display the fragrance. Okay guys, with the extensive testing that I've done over the past couple days with this fragrance in relation to my Eau Croisiere version and my Angel EDT fragrance, I did want to share my thoughts in comparison to these other fragrances. I find Ice Star to be quite unrelated to the Angel EDT version that I have. If you're expecting something like this, you're not going to get that. I find the Angel EDT to be quite sparkling, quite vibrant when you initially spray it, and it dries down to this warm fragrance that I really love. But this one's a little bit more fruity, and when I think about the Ice Star in comparison to Eau Croisiere, I do recognize some pretty noticeable differences. On the dry down, I'm getting quite a bit more punch, quite a bit more fruitiness, quite a bit more tartness from the Eau Croisiere 2020 fragrance than I do from Ice Star. So if you're the kind of person who wants that fruitiness to stick around, you want that punch and that tartness, I do think you'd probably be better off going for the Eau Croisiere 2020 version. Now, if I'm thinking about a tardiness continuum, thinking about Angel Nova that is really high on that scale, I pick up quite a bit of tartness from that fragrance, thinking about the lychee that's in there, the raspberry that's in there. Eau Croisiere 2020 is definitely tart, but less so than Angel Nova. And then Angel Ice Star is a little bit down here more. It's tart when you first spray it, but that does dissipate. It goes to the background. And I find this again to be more of a vanillic type praline fragrance with some of that fruitiness still there, but more so in the background. So if tartness is what you're going for, that punch, that fruitiness is what you're going for, I do think Eau Croisiere 2020 would be a better fit for you. Both of these fragrances are great. What I like about them is they take me back to a tropical vacation. They make me think of sitting at the swim-up bars at Mexico resorts that I've been to and drinking pina coladas or Coco Locos, and it's such a good memory. So if you're trying to build a fun scent memory with a fragrance, I think either one of these would be really fun to use in a vacation setting. If you are looking for something that packs a little bit less of a punch than the Eau Croisiere, I do think this would be one you could check out. When I smell the tester strips that I played with yesterday, I have Eau Croisiere over here, this one is still present. It still has that very prominent fruity aspect to it. It's a little bit more tart, as I've mentioned, but this one, Yeah, it's a little bit more subtle and it's toned down. And if that appeals to you, I do think that Angel Ice Star is one to check out. I've been exploring Angel fragrances for the past couple months and I'm definitely interested in finding what else is in the collection that I love. These are the current fragrances that I have. And when I think about how they play in my collection, I definitely find the EDT to be the most versatile. This is a beautiful fragrance, one I'd really wear for any occasion, any setting. I'd wear it on a date night, I'd wear it in a business setting. I think it's a beautiful fragrance and one I could reach for, for any scenario. It may be better for the summer months. It may not be as noticeable in the winter months, but I haven't played around with it enough in winter to know for sure. The Croisiere is one that I do prefer over Angel Ice Star. When I think about the two, again, they're both fruity fragrances that are really fun, but this one is more prominent, it's more noticeable, it's a little bit less generic than this fragrance, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but this just has more character to it, and it has a scent profile that I gravitate towards a little bit more. So my opinion is that if you already have this fragrance, you may not want to get this one. It could be considered to be a little bit redundant. I would buy this one, the Croisiere 2020, if I had to pick one of the two. I cracked up a little bit recently when I saw a video by Yummy411 on YouTube where she spoke about people who are flanker chasers, and unfortunately I identify with what she was saying in that video. Basically, a flanker chaser being somebody who, has an original fragrance or likes an original fragrance and then goes out and buys all of the flankers that came out afterwards because they like that scent profile. Unfortunately, I found myself doing that with La Nuit Trésor, with La Vie Belle, with the Angel line, with Coco Mademoiselle as well. It's definitely fun when you find one fragrance that you really like, exploring others in the line that you may like as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed this video on the new Angel Ice Star, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I hope you have a phenomenal weekend and you have a lot to be grateful and thankful for. Until next time, I'll see you soon.